What's going on, fellas? So I am driving back from St. Louis. I just came from a Washington Capitals game where they played the Blues out there and the Capitals lost, and it was actually kind of a lame game because the Capitals just did not play good hockey at all. But anyways, usually whenever I take some kind of road trip, I like to just make a more authentic video of me just filming on my phone talking about stuff. And today I want to talk about why I am going a solid 3 months this year without drinking any alcohol at all. If you're new here, my name's Ben Richardson. I'm a personal trainer, I'm a certified nutrition coach, and a chemical engineer. And when I was in my early 20s, I gained a lot of weight, especially while I was in college, just from doing things like eating junk food, not exercising a lot, and probably drinking too much alcohol, which kind of ties into this video, ironically enough. But it wasn't until probably my senior year that I really got a grip on my life and started to lose weight and take better care of myself. So I post videos to just share what I've learned along my journey so that hopefully it helps other men out as well. So if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure you go ahead and subscribe because I do post every week. Alright, so what kind of got me thinking about this is last year in 2023, I definitely went on a really big podcast kick, and I was listening to a lot of Andrew Huberman's podcast, a lot of Chris Williamson's podcast, a lot of Paul Saladino, a lot of Derek from More Plates, More Dates, a little bit of Tim Ferriss, and I'm always a big fan of Jordan Peterson, but all the guys in that kind of space who are kind of into productivity optimization. And some of the most interesting podcast episodes that I listened to were on the benefits of just abstaining from alcohol. And kind of like I just mentioned, I did gain a lot of weight while I was in college from drinking alcohol, and I'm sure if you've ever had any alcohol to any extent, you kind of know what I'm going to call them drunk munchies. You know what that is, though. I mean, you kind of get a hankering to just eat more food, especially junk food. And I managed to just pack on a lot of weight while I was in college just from doing that. And even after I started losing weight, I still drank, mostly socially on weekends. I was never really a heavy drinker. I was usually socially on weekends. My general rule of thumb was if I had to work the next day, then I didn't drink the night before. Occasionally I would make exceptions for like a Monday night happy hour for coworkers, but that was my general rule of thumb. So by no means was I like a drink every single night kind of guy or get absolutely obliterated every single weekend, go out to bars all the time. But more often than not, if the weekend would roll around and I was hanging out with friends or family or something, watching sports, hockey, then I was never really one to turn down having a few drinks and just chilling and relaxing and getting a little buzz going and just hanging out. But some of these podcast episodes that I was listening to make mention of things like moderate to mild drinking over the course of several years. And that's kind of where I'm falling into in life right now. I mean, as of this recording, I'm 29 years old. And really ever since I turned 21, I've really only taken a few substantial breaks from alcohol. And they were only a solid month, maybe a month and a half at the longest. And I've just never really gone through an extended period of my life of not drinking any alcohol at all and seeing what kind of impact that has on my lifting and my fitness, on my productivity, on my sleep, on my mood. And a very interesting thing that I think Andrew Huberman's episode on alcohol specifically pointed out was the tendency for moderate drinkers to essentially self-sabotage. I mean, I don't think he used that exact terminology, but as I was listening to it, that's kind of what he was saying, is that moderate social drinkers really do kind of tend to self-sabotage because there's something about the way alcohol affects your brain. And even outside of drinking, regular alcohol consumers tend to make more lenient decisions with other vices in their life. So things like skipping a workout or eating junk food or eating dessert, or a big thing as of late for me has been falling asleep on the couch watching TV. And I know for a fact that I do not sleep as well if I'm sitting there with a TV running in the background all night while I'm sleeping there on the couch. I sleep way better in a very dark room upstairs in my bed at night. And then another thing that he talked about, not just him, but all these podcast episodes that I've been listening to, talk about essentially hereditary alcoholism. And alcoholism does run on both my mom's and my dad's side of the family, or at least there are instances. If I'm being completely honest, I was getting to the point where I would notice that if I was having a long week at work, I was extra busy, or I was under some kind of time crunch to get things done for whatever project I was working on, those thoughts would kind of pop up into my head that, oh man, I can't wait for the weekend so that I can drink and relax and, not work and just forget about things. And honestly, I don't want that for myself. I want my weekends to still be productive. I still want to make YouTube videos or come up with content ideas or do research into topics that I talk about, or even just do a better job at keeping tabs on my coaching clients that I coach for my fitness and nutrition programs. But I want my weekends to be productive. So all in all, just all these things have kind of made me set out to take a solid 3-month break from alcohol. And I'm at least a few weeks in, and I gotta say that I really do think that my workouts are improving. I'm sleeping a lot better. I kind of had to push through that first weekend because I was really getting hankering to drink. But really, after I pushed through that first weekend, it was kind of a breeze. But ever since then, I've just seen these small little improvements in my sleep, my energy, my mood, how I socialize and interact with people. And it has been a very refreshing thing, and I'm excited to see what it does for me over the course of 3 months. I'm not really a New Year's resolution kind of guy, but if I have any kind of New Year's resolution this year, it's definitely to cut back drastically on my drinking. I am going to go until at least April without drinking any alcohol at all, and I might even eliminate from my diet completely if I really do experience a lot of good benefits. I'm just not a huge fan of how alcohol makes me feel anymore either. I mean, if I'm drinking socially on weekends, that would leave Friday night and Saturday night for me to have a few drinks. But I still work out on weekends, and I've noticed that if I'm drinking the night before and I work out the next day, then usually to some extent my workout gets compromised a little bit, and I don't lift as heavy, I'm not as focused, or I need a little bit of extra pre-workout to push through, and I just don't want that for myself. And then just being more clear-headed and making better decisions with my nutrition. One thing I will say about cutting out alcohol so far, I mean, I really am only a few weeks into this, I save a lot of money because alcohol is definitely expensive, especially if you go out to restaurants and order alcohol. You can easily double your bill going to a restaurant and getting a few beers or a cocktail or something, or a glass of wine, and I gotta say, that is one thing that I'm really enjoying about cutting out alcohol. It is saving me a lot of money, and I've just found it a lot easier to make solid nutrition choices instead of eating a bunch of junk food. I mean, I've been lifting for years and I have a decent amount of muscle, and that makes me a pretty hungry guy. I mean, I have a pretty ravenous appetite, and when you combine that ravenous appetite with drunk munchies, I can do some damage to some junk food, and those calories really add up, man. So that's definitely been a liberating aspect of just eliminating alcohol out of my diet, and I'm really enjoying it because I'm fueling my body with much more nutritious food instead of alcohol that your body essentially treats as a poison. And it's kind of just forcing me to come up with better ways to spend my time. I mean, I'm not a huge reader, but I have been reading a little bit more than I have historically. I was going through this phase last year where I was falling asleep on the couch watching TV, or just late at night I was watching more TV than I should have. But I found it a lot easier to just kind of turn the TV off at night and go read some, or maybe meditate a little before I go to bed, and that's definitely improved my sleep quality, and I think that's a way better use of my time than watching Family Guy for an hour before going to bed. So it's been good so far. I've definitely noticed that my habits are improving, and it's easier for me to make smart, productive decisions in how I spend my time. So anyways, hopefully this video inspires some of you guys to some extent. If you're watching this in January, I know a lot of people jump on the dry January train, but I just encourage you to try to push yourself a little bit this year. Try to go several months without drinking alcohol, and don't just limit it to January. Try to go several months, and even open up your mind to the idea of completely eliminating alcohol from your diet altogether. I do realize that some people have more or less addictive personalities. I really don't know where I fall on that spectrum. I guess I'd say I'm a solid medium, because by no means do I feel like I was ever addicted to alcohol, but I do like it. I just got to a point in my life where the pros and cons list just no longer really justified me consuming it. So I decided to just take an extended break from it. But yeah, that's my challenge to you guys, is to join me on this journey to just cut back on the alcohol, cut back on the booze, maybe even eliminate it altogether, at least for a few months. And I really think this is going to help some of you guys experience a much deeper sense of clarity in your life. That's really going to help you take your goals and your dreams and your ambitions to the next level. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And again, if you're new here and you made it to the end, I'd really appreciate it if you went ahead and subscribed. And turn those notification bells on too, so that you're not missing out on any of my latest videos, because like I mentioned, I do post videos every single week. And if you made it to the end, I do appreciate the support, and I hope you got a lot out of this video as well. If you decide to jump on this bandwagon of cutting out alcohol, then best of luck to you. Definitely let me know how your experience goes in the comments. You guys can connect with me on Instagram as well. I'm a little bit easier to message on there and get in touch with. But anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.